Prince Harry was once admired as the prince.
I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out.
Of privilege, then hailed as the Duke of
Before you go, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have come under fire for accepting $6 million in donations from Fidelity Charitable, a group that reportedly also donates to supposedly anti-LGBT and anti-illegal immigration groups. That is certainly at odds with the very woke Sussexes and their very woke brand. Is there going to be a refund sometime in our future?
Corruption. Now he's being labeled the king of woke hypocrisy by critics on both sides of the Atlantic. How did he go from a royal favorite to a polarizing figure? Harry was celebrated for his military service.
This is my bed.
He sleeps where they sleep, eats where they eat.
It's very easy to completely forget about who I am when I'm in the army. I'm one of the guys, I don't get treated any differently.
But his life isn't really all that normal at all. He's on the front lines fighting the war on terror. He's the trigger man, the gunner, as it's called, of the fearsome Apache.
But controversy erupted after his comments in Heart of Invictus. He accused the British press of ignoring the sacrifices made by soldiers in Afghanistan, sparking immediate backlash. Colonel Richard Kemp, a seasoned British Army officer who also served in Afghanistan, called Harry's claims either ignorant or manipulative.
I think Prince Harry enjoyed enormous popularity in the armed forces, both for his determination to serve in Afghanistan on 2 occasions, and also for the help he gave to wounded soldiers, partly through Invictus Games. Unfortunately, he's blown most of that away now. And a combination of his turning on his own family, the royal family, which means such a lot to the armed forces, and his attempts to exploit his own service.
Kemp cited the press's extensive war coverage, including campaigns like the Elizabeth Cross Initiative, honoring fallen soldiers. But Harry's issues with the press are only part of the story. His and Meghan Markle's environmental advocacy has also drawn criticism. Despite their climate...
We are being preached to by someone like that eco-hypocrite in chief, Prince Harry, who takes an electric car to take him to a private jet, which makes absolutely no sense, then in a gas-guzzling big car, his polo kit, and folk like him have the cheek to tell us to stop travelling. Well, I'm not going to listen to folk like him anymore.
Change rhetoric, their actions tell a different story. The couple frequently uses private jets, undermining their calls for sustainability. In one instance, they reportedly took 4 private jet trips in just 11 days. This behavior has led to accusations of hypocrisy. Private jets produce more CO2 annually than entire nations, such as Uganda, according to Greenpeace. While Harry and Meghan urge others to reduce their carbon footprints, they continue to leave a substantial one themselves. Critics argue that Harry's actions are more about cultivating a woke image than genuine commitment. His fall from grace reflects growing skepticism over public figures preaching one thing while practicing another. Columnist Julie Burchill didn't hold back when addressing Harry and Meghan's lifestyle, calling it obscene eco-hypocrisy.
As I say, I honestly felt some of it, and I'm not being a drama queen, but I do think some of it verged on, defamatory.
You're just making me want to watch it all, I'm afraid to say. But Richard, inevitably, given that it is a Netflix production, questions will be raised again about Prince Harry's commercial relationships with Netflix. What's your view?
I mean, what a situation we're in. No?
Do you think he'll distance himself?
Here we are talking about sort of how damaging this could be and how dreadful.
She slammed their habit of moralizing about climate change while living in a $14 million mansion and jetting off to the Caribbean whenever they pleased. Their message? Save the planet, but only after we've enjoyed it. Harry's pivot to woke activism hasn't just alienated the public, it's fractured his family. His memoir, Spare, was widely criticized as a 400-page tantrum filled with petty grievances, shouting matches with William, complaints about Charles, arguments over wedding tiaras, and even a feud about whether he could keep a beard. Brendan O'Neill of Spiked called it fraternal betrayal, accusing Harry of monetizing private family moments while demanding privacy for himself. The double standard infuriated critics. One of the book's biggest bombshells? Harry claimed William physically attacked him during an argument. While Harry called it evidence of a toxic monarchy,
Harry and Meghan have stood by in stunning silence. So unlike them, isn't it? When private conversations of the kind that Meghan had with Charles in private letters began to circulate in this book as well.
Most saw it as another attempt to play the victim. William's response? Silence. Despite a challenging year, he has reportedly refused to speak to Harry, with many believing their relationship is beyond repair. Even Queen Elizabeth's death couldn't bridge the divide. Before Meghan, Harry was seen as the fun, rebellious royal who didn't care about being politically correct. Remember the Nazi costume scandal? Friends from Eton described him as someone who laughed off woke nonsense. But after Meghan entered the picture,
The noise that Meghan Markle wants them to ignore can include important arguments and facts that the young actually need to hear. But her advice is don't listen. Don't test your argument in debate. You know the truth already. You must drown out that noise like la la la, can't hear you.
everything changed. To critics, Harry's transformation from cheeky
Was the move about getting away from the UK press, because the press is, is everywhere, or was the move because you weren't getting enough support from the firm?
royal to self-righteous activist is a tale of hypocrisy and alienation. Comquin's book Gilded Youth reveals how Prince Harry's friends were shocked by his transformation into a woke crusader. One even joked, she must be really good in bed to turn his head that far. Harsh, but it reflects the sentiment. Harry himself admitted he was probably bigoted before meeting.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
It was really hard. Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time, and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry, especially.
Meeting Meghan Markle, but critics say he's now fully adopted her beliefs. A former royal aide described him as directionless before Meghan and claimed he now simply parrots her views. Meghan's influence didn't stop at Harry. Her speeches on social justice sparked outrage, especially when she and Harry criticized the Commonwealth's colonial history. Many saw it as a betrayal of the monarchy and the UK. While Harry's new image has gained him some fans, many believe he traded authenticity for Meghan's playbook, and the public isn't buying it. When Harry and Meghan moved to America, they likely expected open arms and endless applause. At first, they got it, but the honeymoon phase didn't last. Their explosive Oprah interview, initially praised as a groundbreaking tell-all, is now viewed as the start of their downfall, a moment that marked the shift from short admiration to skepticism. The moment of truth now feels more like a soap opera, messy, dramatic, and full of questionable claims. The biggest bombshell?
One part of his legal trial against the press here, which I think is a very worrying attack on freedom of the press. But, their podcast has bombed, and Harry's book shocked a lot of people with the way in which it reveals so much about the private life of Prince William and King Charles and Camilla and lots of other people.
Meghan accused the royal family of racism, claiming someone inquired about their unborn baby's skin color. Shocking, right? But when pressed for details, Meghan offered none, leaving many wondering if this was a genuine issue or a ploy for sympathy. Then there's the contradiction in their lifestyle. While preaching equality and justice, they're living in a $4 million Montecito mansion. Journalist Brendan O'Neill didn't hold back, calling them the world's worst hypocrites. Harry, who often lectures on wealth redistribution, lives off royal inheritance money from the very monarchy he criticizes. Even their Hollywood allies seem to be distancing themselves. Their progressive image took a hit when news surfaced that they'd accepted $6 million in donations from a group accused of anti-LGBTQ plus practices. How does that align with their woke values? Spoiler, it doesn't. They're not just losing credibility, they're losing fans. For critics, it's not only about their choices, but the chaos they leave behind. Brendan O'Neill warned that Harry and Meghan are dragging the royal family into a woke sinkhole, a spiral that many say is damaging the monarchy's image more than ever before. Harry and Meghan's push for progressive ideals risks turning the monarchy into a platform for out-of-touch lectures rather than a symbol of tradition. The fallout is already visible in places like the Caribbean and Africa, where their remarks on racism and colonialism have sparked demands for reparations and even discussions about cutting ties with the crown. Instead of building bridges, their speeches are burning them. Even their most loyal supporters are beginning to question their motives. Are Harry and Meghan genuinely committed to their causes, or are they simply chasing the spotlight? Once hailed as a fresh, modern alternative to the monarchy's stiff traditions, they're now seen as symbols of cancel culture and woke Hollywood gone wrong. Public opinion has flipped fast. Praised one moment for challenging royal norms, they're now criticized for hypocrisy, virtue signaling, and playing the victim. Their lifestyle and choices, from private jets to questionable donations, have left many wondering if their actions align with their words. So, can they weather the backlash of cancel culture, or has Hollywood had enough of its woke warriors? Are Harry and Meghan victims of the culture they embrace, or have they orchestrated their own downfall? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.